All right, it's time for another tech tip. We've tried to emphasize throughout the course that it's imperative that you keep your vice jaws clean, free of chips and debris that may damage the part or affect its accuracy during the machining process. Another tip is taking a piece of 3x5 card or a piece of notebook paper, inserting it between the vice jaw and our workpiece. Okay, make sure that we're pushing down as we gently close the vise and tap it in place. Now, from time to time, we're going to get that piece of paper impregnated with chips. Simply pitch it in the garbage can, snip another one out with a pair of scissors, keep those papers clean, and you'll go a long ways towards protecting the surface finish of your part. Now, our next operation is machining a slot through the top of the block for a depth of a 1/2 inch, and then we're going to widen the top of the slot using a smaller diameter cutter, getting used to offsetting a cutter to a specific dimension. So the tools you're going to need for this operation, again the edge finder and a 3/8 end mill. We're going to go ahead and take advantage of that servo power feed on this operation since we're removing a lot of material. We want as smooth and uniform a cut in the bottom of the channel as we can. All right, make sure that the back of our part is free from any chips. We'll go ahead and turn the machine on, bring our edge finder down. Come in contact with the workpiece. Zero our digital. Now come over to the center of our part. Okay, we want to machine our slot depth initially to 500 thousandths. We're going to take it in 2 passes. We're going to come in contact with our work, with the cutter, zero out the knee, fire up that servo power feed. All right, bring our cutter over the top of the workpiece. We're going to spot on it. There we go. Back it away. Zero the knee. $250 thousandths at a pass. Okay, before we start the servo feed up, how many of you remember to change speeds on the motor? We're turning now at approximately 1115 RPM from the last milling operation. We need to speed that 3/8 cutter up a little bit, so let's turn the machine off, switch gears now, and let's crank it up around 1750 or a little faster depending upon your particular mill. Make sure and have everything locked down. Nice, smooth, uniform cut. Make sure you apply plenty of fluid to it. We're removing a lot of material now. Anytime that we're taking a real heavy cut, it's also not a bad idea to use a manual feed. We can feel a little bit better. With the power feed on, it's real hard to tell what's going on. That cutter is simply burying its way through the chips. We've got to keep a lot of cutting fluid on it as we go. Okay, shut our servo down. Take our little acid brush and clear all the chips out. And we've got a pretty nice looking channel. Okay. Going to increase our depth another 250 thousandths. for our final pass. All right, change our feed selector on the servo, and we're off and running. If you're going to be machining a lot of aluminum and you don't want to spend big bucks for exotic types of cutting fluids, I suggest you get a little stock going in the WD-40 company. It's a very effective machining lubricant, works really well on aluminum, and also it's very cost effective, comes in its own easy applicator can. Okay, we're going to clear all the chips out, shut our servo down. Now we're going to lower the bed 250 thousandths. We're going to make the top of the slot a ½ inch. 375 minus a ½ inch is 125 thousandths, so we're going to want to cut 62½ thousandths on either side of that slot. We're going to want to climb cut in each direction, so make sure that you have your cutter on the right side of the part. Reverse directions, offset in the opposite direction now. Okay, let's shut our machine down, and with our dial calipers, take a measurement of that slot. We should be right around 500 thousandths of an inch. Okay, we're on the money. All right, we've successfully completed cutting our slot. We cut it to a depth of a ½ inch. We lowered the bed 250 thousandths and then proceeded to widen the slot to a dimension of 0.500. We're going to allow you a thou or two on that. We want you to get used to being able to offset the cutter left and right on the y-axis to machine something to a specific dimension. Another neat tip, if you'll run your finger very gently along the top edge here, you're going to feel a very razor sharp burr. It's kind of a pain in the tail in order to get that off, but here's another little trick. Simply take an old paint scraper type razor blade. We're going to bring the part in next to our chest, hold it against our stomach, take the edge of the razor blade, and just in a nice stroking fashion along this line, very efficiently cut the burr off of that part. Does a marvelous job of burring those internal slots. Simply turn it over, stroke it along just like the old knife sharpener guy at the fair does for you. All right, that pretty well concludes the steps on manufacturing our block. For those of you that live in a high-rise on Wall Street or work down at the bank, wouldn't this make a marvelous paperweight? Quite a conversation piece for the individual coming and asking for a loan.